But it's all hunky-dory. There are a couple of problems with Zohran Mamdani and his utterances in the past, especially when it comes to India, to the government of the day, to Mr. Modi. These are not just anti-India and anti-Modi, but they're also seen as detrimental to Indians. Now, he's made repeatedly claims about the Indian Prime Minister, accusing Mr. Modi and his government of eroding pluralism in India, which is patently untrue. There are tens of millions of minorities in the country, whether they're Muslims or Christians or Buddhists or Jains. Back in 2019 and in 2020, when the CAA protests were happening, he sort of deliberately condemned the CAA, which was passed by the Indian Parliament. He led multiple protests in New York City, even though this was not an act of Parliament that concerned in any way people living in New York. He was also part of a hate mob that would claim that this was a law meant to oppress Muslims in India. In 2020, he joined a protest in Times Square against the construction of the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, where again, some demonstrators were filmed chanting anti-Hindu slogans. His sharpest critiques portray Modi as responsible for the anti-Muslim violence in Gujarat when he was chief minister in 2002. In fact, he's called Mr. Modi a war criminal, likening him to Benjamin Netanyahu. He has said that whether it's Netanyahu or Modi, if they were to land up in New York City, he would arrest them. Now, those are the comments. Those are not just uncharitable comments. Those are not just stridently anti-India comments. Those are also very problematic comments if there needs to be a forward movement in terms of the relationship, which in itself has been battered a bit in the last few months because of Trump and his tariffs. I want to go across to Sushant Sareen, senior fellow from the Observer Research Foundation. Look, and I said this at the top, Sushant, why should Indian viewers care? They should care because of the utterances that Mamdani has made and also the stridently anti-India stuff that he has said. What do you make of the fact that he's being now portrayed as this beacon of hope and the guy who's standing up to Trump, and he's going to be the anti-Trump, anti-establishment guy, but at the same time, there are problems that not least of all people here in India will have with some of his comments in the past?
Yeah, I think India will certainly have problems with him, but it doesn't really, he's not our dog, really, he's an American. He denies his Indian heritage. He's never claimed he's Indian. He's Ugandan and American citizen. His mother might have been an Indian, but I think she's also abandoned India. So I don't see an Indian connection out here. So I don't consider him to be an Indian. Secondly, as mayor of New York, he can say what we had Kejriwal in Delhi, right? He seems to be the Kejriwal of New York, in a manner of speaking. And quite clearly, he's making promises he can never keep. And his threats that he's going to arrest either Mr. Netanyahu or Mr. Modi is just a lot of hot air, because when these guys go to New York or any place in America, especially when they are heads of state or heads of government, they go with diplomatic immunity. So there is nothing he can do about it. So that's a whole lot of hot air. And I don't think at least Mr. Modi is interested in just going to New York for hanging out there or for a holiday. So that's not going to happen. Thirdly, it's very clear. He spoke about every community in the United States. He never mentioned the Hindus. So frankly, the Hindus in New York who voted for him, they are like, chickens for KFC, in a manner of speaking, because frankly, he has no use for them. He hobnobbed with the Khalistanis. He hobnobbed with Muslim radicals. He hobnobbed with all kinds of characters. And he's tried to be everything to everybody, which means he's going to be nothing to nobody. And at the end of the day, his record will be judged on whether he can deliver on the tall promises he has made. And, it's one thing to be in opposition and to be rabble-rousing and to be getting support of everybody by promising them everything. But when you actually have to start delivering, it's very difficult. But Zaka, to a certain extent, not that this election suggests anything about the larger political reality of the United States, but at one level, what is the choice people have? You either have the mad MAGA crowd, or you have Mamdani, right? A Marxist-leaning Mamdani. If that is the choice that American voters have, then it tells you a lot about the kind of polarization which has taken place, and that old mainstream kind of politics, which gravitated around the center. You could be a little left of center, right of center. That seems to be getting squeezed out. So you have these loony lefties on one side, and you have the loony righties on the other side. And where will the twain meet? So I think there are serious problems which are emerging in American politics. But then again, like I said, it's American politics. Who cares?
I just want to, even in the context of Indian Americans, for the longest time, they were supposed to be, heavily in favor of the Democratic Party. But in the last election, there's evidence to show that a large number of Indian Americans, switched sides and voted for Trump. But because of what Trump has done on immigration, not just illegal immigration, but even on legal immigration like H-1B and so on and so forth, in this election, I'm told, there was stuff on Twitter as well about the various precincts in New York. A lot of Indian Americans have gone and supported Mamdani. I mean, as you said, is it just a case of, caught between the devil and the deep sea and therefore they have no choice?
Quite clearly, it is being caught between the devil and the deep sea. And they really have, what is the choice? So I think one of the reasons why most Indians were moving towards the Republican Party was that at some level, most of these guys who have gone from India work hard. These are people with certain conservative values. Maybe their children aren't. But by and large, these are people who believe that if you work hard, you accumulate wealth, then that's the way things have to be done. And they seem to be more comfortable with some of the stuff that the Republican Party was talking about. But now we see that in the Republican Party, it's the white, racist, nationalist, Christian lot which seems to have taken over, and there are no filters in them. So clearly these people are feeling threatened. But the problem for them is going to be, like it has happened in London, there is no security for people from, at least of Hindu origin in London, for example. You have a Muslim mayor who only espouses Muslim causes. And the kind of policing which is happening in London gives many of these characters a free pass. So something similar we might start seeing happening in New York. But you also see what has happened in New Jersey. The way the Indian voter shifted completely onto the Democratic side in New Jersey, where they have about 5% of the population or the voting population. I think that's a fairly significant number. And that has also happened. But I think for Indian Americans, I think there is a certain sense of unease which is growing because of the kind of politics which is there in the United States.
I mean, even to the extent that the vice president got a lot of flack for denouncing his wife and her faith, in the comments that he made last week. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow from the Observer Research Foundation, with his thoughts and perspective. Also, talking about this India connection, Zohran Mamdani, in his victory speech today in New York, he also quoted India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in a portion of his famous India's Tryst with Destiny speech, the Independence Day speech from 15th of August 1947. And in that speech, the portion that he quoted, where Mr. Nehru said, "There comes a time, rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new." Mamdani sort of paraphrased that. And the Congress party picked that up and attacked the Modi government, saying that, look, you can take Nehru away from the history books, you can erase or try to erase him from India's history, but you can't quite suppress him, giving the evidence of Mamdani's speech from his victory, the portion of his victory speech. Let's listen in to that part.
Standing before you, I think of the words of Jawaharlal Nehru. A moment comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Tonight we have stepped out from the old into the new.
The Congress is in a celebratory mood as far as the election of Mamdani as a mayor is concerned, but there's a political reason behind it. He's been known as a baiter of the American President Donald Trump, and the Congress party has been consistently attacking the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, taking pot shots at him and taking barbs also at him for the fact that Donald Trump and the Prime Minister share a very good equation. In the backdrop of the tariff turmoil, they're pointing out that what was the point of this dosti which has has gone against the interest of India. Now, Mamdani's known political line, where he's seen as being against Donald Trump, is also the reason why he has endeared himself to the Congress party. But there's another reason behind it. In his winning speech, Mamdani also made a reference to Jawaharlal Nehru's tryst with destiny. We know that one issue which consistently has been raised by the Congress party is that the Prime Minister shifts the blame of all his failures, according to the Congress party, foreign policy, any other domestic policy, on Jawaharlal Nehru. That he has always held him accountable. He's been very, very critical. And there's an attempt which is being made by the BJP, including the Prime Minister, of wiping out the legacy of India's first Prime Minister of independent India. So when Mamdani talked about the Jawaharlal Nehru speech of tryst with destiny, this is how the Congress party hailed it, from Jairam Ramesh to Supriya Shrinade. Almost every top Congress leader said that, look, the world recognizes the importance of Jawaharlal Nehru, his contribution to the world, to society and to India as well, but the Prime Minister of India is not acknowledging it. So it's very clear that Mamdani has now become that kind of a poster boy for the Congress party, to point out that those who have an anti-establishment voice, those who appreciate the contributions of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty, they win elections. They are the ones where people do understand that their value and therefore voted for them.